All right, well, the rift in the royal family is once again in the spotlight, with Prince Harry airing his grievances to the world after losing a security battle.
I can't see a world in which I would be bringing my...
King Charles received the news at breakfast. Harry needed £800,000 in 3 days. William was informed within the hour. The palace response took 2 minutes to draft. Complete silence, no comment, no assistance, no acknowledgement. For the first time in modern royal history, a prince would face financial ruin alone. The family Harry accused of cruelty had found the perfect revenge. They simply did nothing at all.
And that interview?
That might have something to do with it.
A few other things. I mean, he's gone off the rails, hasn't he? I actually feel, for the first time, a bit sorry for him. He's so lost.
He's deep down in that burrow, isn't he? It's sort of hard to retrieve yourself.
Financial warfare operates differently than palace intrigue. No leaked conversations needed, no tabloid stories required, just numbers on official letterhead. The removal of titles bill wasn't the weapon, it was the distraction. While Parliament debated nobility, accountants were calculating interest. While MPs discussed heritage, auditors were examining offshore accounts. The real power in modern Britain doesn't sit on thrones, it sits in revenue offices. And those offices had been watching Harry's money trail for years. Every Netflix payment, every speaking fee, every book advance. They knew something the public didn't. Harry's financial house was built on British sand. One audit could bring it down. One deadline could expose everything.
His father with his family, but how is that even possible if he keeps airing this dirty laundry for the whole world to see?
Therein lies the million-dollar question, Sarah. It's a lovely idea. I think most reasonably minded people would like to see a
The timing revealed strategic brilliance. Parliament announces the titles bill on Monday. HMRC delivers the tax notice on Tuesday. By Wednesday, every financial institution Harry dealt with received notification. Not publicly, privately, through channels that move money, not headlines. Banks started reviewing credit lines. Insurers reassessed policies. Investment firms questioned exposure. The 3-day deadline wasn't random, it was calculated. 72 hours is too short to liquidate assets properly, too brief to negotiate payment plans, too quick to seek emergency funding without desperation showing. Someone in Whitehall understood financial psychology. Panic makes people reveal their true position. And Harry's position was weaker than anyone imagined.
The interviewer pressed to find out who that was. He said he was not prepared to share at this point. And that came across as something of a thinly veiled threat.
What Parliament discovered during their investigation shocked even critics. The Sussex financial structure was a maze of companies, trusts, and foundations, each designed to minimize tax exposure, each technically legal. But technically legal doesn't mean politically survivable. When MPs saw the documentation, they realized they didn't need to strip his titles. They just needed to show Britain where its former prince kept his money. The court of public opinion would do the rest. Hollywood accounting met British bureaucracy, and Hollywood lost. The entertainment industry runs on promises, projections, and potential. British tax law runs on receipts, records, and reality. Harry had been living in the first world while owing the second. The Netflix deal everyone celebrated, structured through 3 jurisdictions. The book advance that made headlines, paid to a company registered in Delaware. All legal, all standard Hollywood practice, all completely foreign to British sensibilities. The moment these details emerged in Parliament, public sympathy evaporated. Working-class Britons paying 40% tax rates discovered their prince was paying far less. The veteran who couldn't afford heating learned Harry's speaking fees went through tax havens. The 3-day deadline exposed something else. Liquidity crisis. Having wealth and accessing wealth are different things. Harry's money was tied up in real estate, production deals, and long-term investments. California property can't be sold in 3 days. Netflix contracts can't be immediately monetized. Book royalties arrive quarterly, not on demand. The man worth millions couldn't access £800,000 without revealing his financial vulnerability to the world. Credit applications would be public. Asset sales would make headlines. Emergency loans would confirm the crisis. The trap was perfect. Pay immediately and reveal financial strain. Don't pay and face legal consequences. Either way, the image of success crumbles. 70% of Britons supported enforcing the tax bill. That number came from polls conducted before anyone knew the full amount. When the 800,000 figure leaked, support jumped to 80%. But the real damage came from veteran organizations. The Royal British Legion released a statement, neutral in tone, devastating in impact. They simply listed what £800,000 could buy for wounded veterans. Prosthetic limbs for 200 amputees, service dogs for 50 PTSD sufferers, Year-long mental health support for 500 families. They didn't mention Harry. They didn't need to. The comparison wrote itself. King Charles faced an impossible position. Help Harry pay, and Parliament would investigate royal finances. Ignore Harry's situation and watch his son's public humiliation. The palace chose a third option: complete silence. No comment on the tax situation, no acknowledgement of the titles bill, no recognition that anything was happening at all. Royal correspondents called it the coldest response in modern monarchy. Sources said William personally ensured no palace resources would be used, not even lawyers. The message was clear. Harry wanted financial independence. He had it. Every bill, every deadline, every consequence was his alone. Meghan's absence spoke volumes. No Instagram posts about unfair treatment, no leaked statements about discrimination, no public appearances playing the supportive wife. Industry insiders revealed why. Her own financial advisors had warned against any association with the tax situation. American investors were already nervous about the Sussex brand. Any connection to British tax problems could trigger IRS scrutiny of their American holdings. So she stayed silent, leaving Harry to face the cameras alone. The woman he'd sacrificed everything for wouldn't even stand beside him during his financial crisis. The documentation Parliament obtained revealed systemic issues. This wasn't one tax bill. It was the first of potentially many. Archwell's structure raised questions. Charitable donations mixed with personal expenses, speaking fees routed through the foundation, travel costs that blurred personal and professional lines, each item individually defensible. Collectively, they painted a picture of financial manipulation that violated the spirit, if not the letter, of charity law. The Charity Commission opened their own investigation, separate from HMRC, separate from Parliament, another front in Harry's financial war. California authorities started asking questions too. If British taxes were unpaid, what about American ones? The IRS doesn't announce investigations. They simply begin them. Harry's financial team suddenly faced audits on 2 continents. Legal fees alone would reach millions. Even if he won every challenge, the cost of victory would be devastating. The 3-day deadline was just the opening salvo. The real battle would last years and cost everything. Meanwhile, Parliament moved forward with the titles legislation, but they added something unexpected: a financial disclosure requirement. Any British title holder living abroad would need to publicly declare their complete financial position annually. Every asset, every income source, every tax payment. The transparency requirements were stricter than those for MPs themselves. Harry would have to choose: keep the title and expose his entire financial life, or abandon the title and lose his last connection to royal identity. Other jurisdictions took notice. If Britain could challenge Harry's finances, why couldn't they? South Africa started examining his charity work there. Canada reviewed expenses from his brief residence. Even small Caribbean nations where he'd vacationed began asking about tourism taxes. Each claim was small. Collectively, they threatened to unravel his entire financial structure. The prince who traveled the world as a royal was discovering every country remembered his visits differently when money was involved. The entertainment industry recalibrated. Deals and development stalled. Future projects were quietly shelved, not canceled, just indefinitely postponed. Hollywood doesn't like financial uncertainty. It especially doesn't like tax problems that cross international borders. Harry transformed from asset to liability in 3 days. The same executives who'd competed for his signature now wouldn't return his calls. The memoir publisher started calculating whether future books were worth the risk. Netflix accountants ran new projections. Every financial model that included Harry now included a risk premium. The cost of association kept rising. Veterans organizations in multiple countries started their own calculations. How much had been spent on Harry's appearances versus direct veteran support? The numbers were uncomfortable. Private jets to charity events, luxury accommodations at fundraisers, security details that exceeded medical support budgets. No one accused him of theft. They simply published the figures and let people draw conclusions. Every empire falls the same way, not through invasion or revolution, through accounting. Rome fell when it couldn't pay its soldiers. France collapsed when the treasury emptied. The British Empire ended in bankruptcy, not battle. Harry's personal empire followed the ancient pattern. The money ran out before the titles did. The 3-day deadline wasn't about £800,000. It was about revealing the hollow foundation beneath the California castle. A prince without a treasury isn't a prince. He's a debtor with a famous name. The lesson extends beyond Harry. Every public figure builds their image on financial mythology. The appearance of wealth matters more than actual wealth. The perception of success drives actual success, until someone demands receipts. Then the mythology collapses in exactly 72 hours. The time it takes to transfer money, the time it takes to expose an empty account, the time it takes for the world to realize the emperor has no clothes and no credit. Harry thought he was fighting for titles and security. He was really fighting for financial survival. And he lost that fight the moment the deadline was set. Not because he couldn't pay, but because having to pay publicly destroyed the illusion that made him valuable. A prince who argues about taxes is just another man with bills. The crown might be gone, but the tax bill remains. And that might be the most royal lesson of all. Even princes pay the revenue service. Eventually, everyone does.